Story 1. My cat would definitely be a food critic. He sniffs every meal like a Michelin inspector, then refuses to eat it. Story 2. My bearded dragon definitely would have worked at the Department of Motor Vehicles. She moved at her own pace while being extremely judgmental. Story 3. My pet's job is sleeping and pushing things off the table. Orange cat core. Story 4. I have a bunch of pets. Nugget, mixed breed dog. I cannot see her as an adult. She would be one of those cheerleaders who is nice but scared of everything. She might be in special education, but people get over it because she is talented and pretty. Isabella, dachshund. She is a gang member. She is mean but generally only protects her own. If people mind their own business, she will mind hers. She does what she wants when she wants and does not tolerate nonsense. She is extremely spoiled, so she would be one of the kids who comes from a family that is involved. Sir Didymus, ancient Chihuahua Yorkie mix. He is 14, has no teeth, a rubbery jaw, is blind and deaf, and has a heart murmur. He would be one of those creepy older men at the bar who is no longer a threat but makes odd comments toward women. He was that type a lot in college, but he is now ancient and friendly. I could write about all of my cats, but I will not. Story 5. She is probably a mean old lady between 14 and 15 years old who will not leave my kittens alone. Story 6. The cat would be the dictator of the world, and the dog would be his bumbling, idiotic Nepo baby. Story 7. My cat would be retired and the kind of cat to say, "Get off my lawn." Story 8. If my pet had a job, they would be a professional nap tester and probably employee of the month for always staying on the couch and judging everyone else's work ethic. Story 9. Dog 1 is a golden retriever and Bernese mountain dog mix. 1 year old. He would be one of those nice grocery store clerks who wants to talk to everybody but makes the line longer. Dog 2 is a Labrador, 3 years old. He would be a mall cop who thinks he is part of the special weapons and tactics team. I cannot believe I forgot to include her, but I have a horse too. She is an Appaloosa and Thoroughbred cross, 21 years old. She would be your grandmother who is a former runway model and seems very relaxed now but still does nose candy from time to time and will not let you hunch over. Story 10. If I could monetize my dog's paper shredding ability, I would. Story 11. Model laughing. She is a ragdoll. She never does anything but sleep, eat, and pose. Story 12. Barry, security guard with a built-in detection ability. Mink, night watchman. Sleeps all day and dozes at night but beats up any baddies. CC, police officer. Needs her nose in everything and is relentless when obsessed. Pecan, investigative journalist. Very approachable. Everyone loves him and he must be involved in anything new. Ava, primary school teacher. Adores children and is very bright. Steve, fitness coach. Bubbles, art designer. Artistic. Loves rearranging things but prefers to avoid people. One of my past pets was a veritable gang leader. She even employed other ferrets as her muscle. Story 13. I wrote a story for my 3-year-old daughter about my 2 dogs, a Jack Russell and a Chihuahua. They are detectives. Jackson wears a Sherlock hat and Mitzi is his sidekick who carries a magnifying glass. They must interview all of her teddy bears and dolls to find the missing bone. She has 2 stuffed animals, a hedgehog, and a lion. I play with her and those toys are always naughty so they stole the bone. I used ChatGPT to turn photographs of the dogs and toys into cartoons and then use them to illustrate the book. The story gets her involved because she can relate the characters to her real pets, and we continue the adventures together. Story 14. I have a Roomba. It's like a pet, but it cleans the carpet instead of dirtying it. Story 15. We have 2 dogs, a brother and a sister. The sister is very confident, beautiful, and strong. She will be the CEO of a successful startup. The brother always tries to please, looks sad most of the time, and is in constant need of a hug. He will probably be one of those overly nice, chubby men working the same boring office job for the next 40 years. Story 16. My dog would be the over-eager intern who keeps messing up, but is too cute for you to get mad at. A chocolate Labrador retriever. My cat would be the boss of that over-eager intern, Tired of his antics, a black tabby. Story 17, conflict resolution specialist. My little terrier Mix watches television. Anytime there is violence, raised voices, or even tension between characters on screen, he runs to the television, jumps up to the screen level about 4 feet high and barks. He also does this when he sees animals, even animated ones, but that is probably a different job. Story 18. Event planner or bartender are the first two that come to mind. She is very social and loves being in busy places, interacting with as many people as possible. Story 19. Frisco, the border collie, is the night watchman. Pip, the pit bull, is the bouncer. They are, after all. Story 20. Supervisor. I work from home, and she already supervises me simply by being in the room. I am not sure what she does, but she is convinced I cannot work unless she watches me. Story 21. German Shepherd. The same job as now, private security. Story 22. The closest thing I have to a pet is a Highland bull. His job is to breed with the cows, and so far he is doing an excellent job. Story 23. My dogs have jobs. They check hot dogs for poison. Whenever we buy hot dogs, they put their lives on the line to protect our family by eating them first to make sure they are safe. Such a sacrifice. Story 24. He is the mall rent-a-cop. He loves telling on the other two dogs, barking at mail carriers, and generally yelling at anything out of place. But he would pee all over himself and hide if you actually got mad and barked back. Story 25. My dog is a border collie, so he comes pre-installed with a job. Story 26. Animals do have jobs. I used to train emotional support animal rats. They were technically service rats because they perform tasks, but most places do not recognize them as such. They can detect blood sugar changes, migraine triggers, allergens, and oncoming panic attacks. They can find lost objects, bring you items you dropped on the floor, pull a blanket over you and tuck you in, open jars, and perform many other tasks. Story 27. He would be a real estate agent. He is a beautiful Pomeranian who is great with people and makes everything look better. He could easily convince anyone to buy, but because he is lazy, he would be a backup worker who chips in when needed. Story 28. One dog would be a model who is a bumbling lifeguard. Another would be a spoiled housewife with a side job as a soccer player. The Chihuahua would be a kingpin, and the old dog would be retired. Story 29. The one would be a mayor, the other a shower or dishes lifeguard. Both are cats. Story 30. A critic. That judgmental expression suggests he would be a good candidate for the role. Story 31. One would be a police officer. She is the fun police. Another would be a professional cuddler. The third would be a stunt woman who performs hardcore parkour. Story 32. My dog would be fine with anything, but my cat would be a die-hard Marxist. I can see it in her eyes, except when it's her favorite toy. No one is allowed to touch it. I love both of them to bits, though. Story 33. Mine give pony rides to young children. As far as I can tell, they enjoy their work. Story 34. My cat would be an office worker. Every morning she runs to my home office and waits for me to open the door so she can spend the day there. Story 35. I had a dog with a job. He was a bed bug detection dog, and we traveled everywhere together. He was the best dog, and I haven't felt safe on my walks since he passed away. Story 36. Food tester cat. Not a professional, just the oddball who crashes the place claiming to be. Always gives 5 stars but insists on reviewing everything twice. Story 37. One would be a police officer and the other would be a cook. Story 38. Hank would be a trainer for a baseball center fielder. He wants you to throw his ball far and often. Novi would be a wrangler of small children, gently nudging them in the right direction. Story 39. My black cat would be a suave, debonair actor, like Mads Mikkelsen. He would probably smoke cigars too. Story 40. Paperweights. One cat would be a professional heckler. Story 41. My cat would be a border security guard. You cannot pass without him grabbing you, and if you try to run, he will chase and bite you unless you pet him first, of course, laughing out loud. Story 42. She worked at a chocolate factory so she could eat on the job. My friend somehow found a whole Easter bunny and ate it once. She is a 13-year-old crusty dog, which explains why she seems immortal. Story 43. Gangster. A tiny female gang leader. This is my territory. You want to deliver packages in my neighborhood without clearing it with me first. Hey guys, come over here and check out this bozo in his little delivery outfit. He thinks he can just stroll up to my house without permission or discussing our cut first. Story 44. Frisbee tester. She would prefer to be a cat herder, but I am sure we would receive many complaints. Story 45. One of my dogs would be an investigator because he is overly nosy. The second would be a foodie because she likes to taste and eat everything. The third would be a politician because she always thinks she is right, she likes to argue, she does not listen, and she lies a lot when caught red-handed. That was a good question. Story 46. I am a professional tripper. Laughing out loud. No matter where I walk, my dachshund tries to trip me. Story 47. Selena is a professional model. She loves posing for the camera and showing off. Shadow is a taste tester. Story 48. Pets are not allowed in my apartment. However, there is sometimes a pigeon on the balcony that may be a Wolt courier. Story 49. Pull and sniff 3 times, pulling extra hard on the 3rd attempt. Story 50. One dog would be a shepherd. The other 2 would excel at pest control. One cat would help with that, and the other would be a pretty princess. Story 51. My Maine Coon is 14 now, but still a great morning alarm clock. He continues his lifelong duty of conducting gravity tests. Story 52. No pets here. If I did, the cat would be a gravity inspector and a wellness auditor at 3 in the morning, and the dog would be head of morale at the front door. Story 53. My mother was the designated window watcher. Her partner was the designated chair warmer. The puppies, now 8 years old, are the reason I smile. Story 54. Any job that requires a nosy person would suit him. He simply cannot mind his own business. Story 55. Security guard. My male cat absolutely hates seeing any animal in our backyard and will try to fight anything he sees. He does the same when I take him for walks on a leash. Dogs get a pass for some reason. He just looks at them or cautiously approaches to sniff, then walks away. Story 56. My poodle, Diva, would have been the supreme overlord of the whole universe forever. Damn it. Story 57. My autism support worker, laughing out loud, is an autism assistance dog for me and is absolutely amazing. I would not be as independent without her. Story 58. My dog would probably have the same job he has now. He keeps the couch from floating away. The cats have higher aspirations. Their job would be to correct all the bad behavior by my wife and me. Story 59. My cat was the feline version of Derek Zoolander, forehead creases and all, so naturally he'd be the world's top male model. Story 60. My German Shepherd dog, armed guard at a military installation, golden retriever, therapist, bulldog, beagle, pug mix, food taster, mutt, the annoying Karen who runs the homeowners association. Story 61. A lazy security guard is eating donuts and does not care. Story 62. Greeter and doorman, although the dog is female. She only accepts tips in the form of petting or treats. Story 63. My dog would be a sheriff. When my cats start fighting, he runs over to see what they are up to. When he comes inside, he sweeps the house. Story 64. My male cat would be a food critic, and my wife's cat would probably be a psychedelic drug tester. Story 65. My cat jumps very well, but I do not know whether this could be a job. Story 66. I have 3 cats. I know for a fact that my middle cat would be in jail for life. Story 67. One of my dogs would be a squirrel exterminator, and the other would be a sleeping security guard. Story 68. Night watchman. Sure, she would sit at a desk and sleep in the chair, but she was terrible at catching intruders. Even if they did not have a weapon, she would wake and wave them in, calling out, "Yikes, intruders, go on in, just do not hurt me." She was a very nervous cat, but she loved her sleep. Story 69. We have 4 cats. One is a demolition expert. One is a therapist. The third is a contortionist. The last is a spy or a ninja. Story 70. My cat will clear any table he comes across. If it has anything on it, he removes it in an instant. Story 71. Door security. Chihuahuas are loud and always on alert. Story 72. My 13-year-old dog is an alarm clock. He is always on point for treat and outside time. Story 73. He would be great in a job where people start chatting and he can excuse himself to check the perimeter. He would be a great Dakshi player on the show Squid Game. He would not do the park challenge from the show. He would eat all the bread, so he would never do that. He does not want to make people unhappy unless he is winning, because that is most important after food but before rules. Story 74. I do not have a pet, but my brother's dog is a barker. He was probably the town crier in another life, always flapping his jaws. Story 75. I have 3 cats. The tabby is the security officer. They always inspect groceries, parcels, and guests and sit on top of cabinets. The white long-furred cat is the administrator. She is territorial, loves playing with stationery, and has a special spot in the cat tree that belongs only to her. The orange cat is the actor. They are dramatic and clownish, love attention, and behave unpredictably. Story 76. My dogs have jobs. They supervise us when we are doing yard work. Story 77. Cats should work in restaurants as cooks or in cafes. Story 78. She would be a security guard. She thinks she is more intimidating than she actually is, and no one takes her seriously. Story 79. I make sure I stay humble when I pick up his poop every day. Story 80. My buddy died, and I got his 7-year-old black and white pit bull. She's sweet and always up for doing whatever I'm doing. I think she could be a good livestock dog. Story 81. I have 2 dogs. One is high maintenance and temperamental, a pampered companion. The other does physical work that requires no higher level thinking. Story 82. I am a dog walker and I got a dog for that reason. She loves her best friends and has the coolest mom. Story 83. Fester is a retired Vietnam War veteran who volunteers at a daycare. He loves my 3-year-old child. Story 84. One of my dogs would definitely be a drill sergeant. She is a bully to the other dog and screams constantly. Story 85. My guinea pigs love nothing more than keeping the grass short. Story 86. She used to work for the neighborhood stick relocation program as a branch manager. She picked up sticks and moved them to the yards where they belonged. Now, in her old age, she is a professional bed tester. Story 87. Scout, the golden retriever, would definitely be a mail carrier. I do not know why. I just know. Story 88. My dog Baloo is going to be a security guard. My dog Falk is a hunter. My cat IB is a lowlife Karen, demanding everything on a silver platter. Story 89. Professional nappers. Not just the cats but the dog as well. There is also a doorbell. Story 90. A clown and 2 soccer commentators are a cockatiel and the budgies who never stop chatting at the top of their lungs. Story 91. I do not have a pet, but I have always wanted to get a dog and name it Bootsy after Bootsy Collins. I guess I would play some extremely funky bass. Story 92. They are both criminal cats. I cannot imagine they would pursue any other career. Story 93. My cat has 2 jobs. First, to ensure no one develops an excessively high self-esteem. Second, to keep everyone alert and watch for potential attacks. Story 94. My dog would be the town crier for pterodactyls, that is, hot air balloons. Story 95. My cat would be a security guard. He walks from the backyard to the front yard and watches people pass. He also goes to the neighbor's house and sits on their front porch. If the neighbor's child is outside, he sits on the walkway watching them. Story 96. A rancher or farmer. We refer to him as our gay cowboy. He has a wide stance, conveys a Western vibe, and is especially fond of male cats. Story 97. My dog has several jobs: guard, therapist, ball retriever, and vacuum. Is Trip Hazard a job? Story 98. My choice would be an entertainment director on a lower-budget cruise ship. She is relentlessly cheerful and always encouraging people to play. In fact, she prefers playing to eating, so she stays slim and is attractive. She is mostly attracted to adult men and would be intimate with any willing, consenting adults free of charge. Story 99. They already have jobs. Buddy protects the house from the United Parcel Service and Federal Express. Pepsi is a product tester specifically for her doggy doorbell, ensuring it still operates the door opener, which is me, correctly. Story 100. Pest control. Cats, geckos, and a Pomeranian Chihuahua mixed dog. Security. A Doberman and Cane Corso mixed dog. Snakes. Freeloaders and unemployed. Story 101. Our pet had a job. He was my husband's guide dog for 8 years and is now enjoying a well-earned retirement with a lovely companion. He goes on holiday, gets lots of dog ice cream, and is generally relaxing. We miss his fluffy face so much. But it is wonderful that he has such a loving home to live out his golden years. Story 102. My dog would love to be a doorman. He would hang out in the lobby, greet everyone as they enter, sniff packages and food deliveries, and hand out cookies to all the other dogs. Story 103. Peace negotiator. My pom-pom always advocates for humans and other pets when someone gets mad at them. Story 104. Alarm clock. Not for any time you want, just when she wants. 2 a.m.? Meow. 4 a.m.? Meow. Meow. Freaking cat. Story 105. The female cat is a crime investigator. The 2 male cats are receiving food assistance. Story 106. My blue heeler, an Australian cattle dog, is pure security. She does not flinch at anything. She patrols and watches my older and smaller dogs. If anyone breaks into my house, I will know before they enter, and they will be dealing with 50 pounds of muscle and an alarm system. Story 107. One of the nights was watching the wall for White Walkers. Story 108. Barking at ghosts. Apparently, our house is full of them. Story 109. The dog is traffic control. He wants you where he wants you, which is to say on the couch with food and pets. The cat is Baker. He is really good at kneading. Story 110. My cats could not handle a job. They would get fired on their first day. Story 111. Whatever occupation requires indiscriminate aggression. He could, coincidentally, also be a top model. Kind of like Naomi Campbell. Story 112. My cat's current occupation is the mayor of Babytown. It's his 8th term, and he's run unchallenged since his 2nd election. Story 113. My cats do have jobs, but they are slackers. They are supposed to be on rodent patrol, but can often be found sleeping peacefully with a clear conscience while the mice frolic and mock us. Story 114. My girl would be a food influencer by day and a home alarm system. Story 115. My cat would be an exterminator or work for animal control. She is very good at finding creatures that sneak into the house. Story 116. She would be a tiny spy and a nosy neighbor who makes extra cash as a part-time food critic. She would also be a cartel boss. Story 117. One cat would be a secretary, the kind with long nails who chews gum and silently judges you. The other would be a Twitch streamer who plays Minecraft and whose whole act is being really loud. Story 118. A greeter somewhere, maybe one of Santa's helpers at the mall. Kids love her. Story 119. He would be the manager of a union. He would be the spokesperson for dogs who are unfairly denied a share of their humans' food when they demand it. Story 120. Security. He loves to bark, but he is a chunky Chiweenie who is about to turn 11 years old, so he prefers a low-key place. Story 121. Security. He loves to bark. He is a chunky Chiweenie who is about to turn 11 years old, so a quiet, low-key location is best. Story 122. Turtley Bro would definitely be a bouncer at a club. He can only be swayed by food, and even then he constantly wears a mean expression. Story 123. My husband and I work in law enforcement, so when our cat sits in the window and stares outside, we say he is on duty. He would be a police officer laughing out loud. Story 124. I'm guessing Monty would be some kind of Wall Street broker. He's kind of a dick, but can still sweep you off your feet. Silver would be a supermodel. She is so dainty. Story 125. I am a Transportation Security Administration agent. My cat is always in my bags, wants me to remove my shoes because he is scared of them, and enjoys stressing me out. Story 126. My dog wouldn't have a job. She's already a criminal and expert thief. Story 127. My tuxie cat Izzy would definitely be a life coach. He is the happiest cat I have ever seen. My Harlequin cat Shy would be an emo theater kid who works at the convenience store between productions. Story 128. My dog's job at our house is Squirrel Patrol. I sing the theme song. I really think my dog needs some aviators. Story 129. Definitely private security or bodyguard. He does it for free already except for housing, food, healthcare, and entertainment, so he might as well be paid. Story 130. There wouldn't be a loose ball anywhere on Earth. He would keep them all in line. Story 131. Day camp counselor who loves being outside. Willing to supervise anyone, anywhere. Enjoys a good field trip and always makes sure we get up, move around, and have fun. Story 132. One of my cats, Lilith, is a taste tester for inedible products. She likes to lick plastic all the time. My other cat, Anubis, is a paper towel tester because he likes to defecate where he is not supposed to. I love both my cats very much, but they can be dumbass. Story 133. Roadside edibility. A mystery crusty black piece of flesh at the curb, a rotten, soiled avocado half leaning invitingly at the foot of a tree, the shriveled carcasses of dehydrated earthworms from last week's sudden rain. Nothing is too gross or too far decomposed for a taste test. Story 134. She is a tattoo artist. She responds well to immediate rewards and reassurance and has little motivation for activities that do not offer quick results. So she does not pursue college. She prefers to work independently and is highly artistic. She is excellent at customer service and enjoys interacting with people. Story 135. My cat would be a plumber. He really loves sinks, tubs, and toilets. Story 136. Animals do have jobs. Our dog's father was a cattle herder. He sneaked over to visit the neighbor's pet, and the rest is history. Story 137. My male cat would be 100% a hitman. My female cat would be a mountain climber. Story 138. One cat is quality control for a restaurant. The veterinarian says he set a record for being the biggest lover of spray cheese. Laughing out loud. The other is absolutely nuts and plays tag professionally. Story 139. My cats would be a mafia family. My late female cat Minnie was the boss, but eventually the grunt, a large and brutal male cat named Brutus, took over. Unfortunately, I think his presence and bullying were too much for her. Then there's Brutus's psychic Vika, who is very nervous and jumpy around people but gets along with cats. He is the perfect companion for Brutus, who only wants to be number one and in control. Brutus cannot be tamed and he loves food, so he is basically on an eternal diet. He is constantly thinking of food, and if a cabinet door is left open or he can open it, he will do everything to reach the stash. They have a drug-dealing rabbit in our neighborhood who acts as their distributor. He is Rudolph the Red Hole Rabbit. His hole is red because of what he smuggles. Another nickname for him is Rudolph the Red Hole Rabbit. So that is what they would be. Story 140. I could see him as a security guard or a personal manager. I have no reason for this. It's just vibes. Story 141. She would be a special weapons and tactics dog, chasing large trucks that drove onto the property, even into her old age. Story 142. I do not have a pet, but I have a neighbor. They would be an overnight security guard. Story 143. I have two cats. One is the neighborhood watch and the other is the under-bed inspector. Story 144. Jasper would be a prison guard and Maya an exterminator. Story 145. Cuddlist professional cuddle therapy. Story 146. My puppy would be a goodwill ambassador. I can see her raising millions to protect vulnerable people and animals. She is one of the gentlest souls I have ever known, and everyone who sees her smiles immediately. Her superpower is making people, dogs, cats, and birds feel happy and loved. Story 147. My cat has a job. He is chief of security. Every night he comes and fetches me to make the rounds with him and make sure every window and door is locked. I am not kidding. If I have not done it by around midnight, he will paw at my legs with his claws to remind me. Story 148. Stellar would be a great guard dog. She hates everyone. Donatello might be a good guard dog if he tried. There's a reason his first nickname was Dumbatello. Story 149. Referee. She always runs up to dogs playing at the dog park and makes sure everything is okay. She is a border collie, so she needs to be in control. Story 150. My male cat would be a useless manager, the kind who only shows up to yell at you about how you are doing things wrong. My female cat would be the office secretary and mom, always checking that everyone is okay. My dog would be a temporary employee, jumping from place to place and terrorizing everyone she encounters. Story 151. Food tester or competitive eater. She is a beagle and the most food-driven dog I have ever owned. Story 152. She is a security guard. My neighbors are afraid of her even though she is small and has never attacked or bitten anyone. Apparently her barking from inside the house is intimidating enough. Story 153. Piku? Work? That's cute. Piku would never have a job. She would be an unemployed loaf on the sofa all day, playing video games and snacking constantly. I love her. She is my best buddy, but working is not for her. Seriously, when a bear took out the chicken coop, she was too lazy to even let us know. Piku weighs 130 pounds and sleeps between my husband and me every night. She is a Great Dane, but her name means tiny in Finnish. Bear came through the goat pen out of the woods. I have 6 cisgender goats and 1 transgender goat that was born a rooster. I keep them for dairy. I am allergic to the protein in cow milk, but I am fine with goat milk. Astrid is spelled with 2 S's for reasons. She does not just headbutt. She literally bites. I think of her as a kind of mafia hitman or an assassin. Once she even tried to be a hairdresser and almost ripped my head off by the hair, like that wrestler who ripped off another wrestler's ear. Now I do my own hair before going anywhere near her. Next are Starry and Stella, a tight-knit pair of mean girls. They are professional climbers and need each other for their rope system to work. They also have a side gig with Astrid, stealing cars in town. It was such a racket that the police once arrested them for car theft. They came home in the back of the cruiser. Then there are Cinnabon and her daughters. They are professional escape artists. They could have taught Houdini a thing or two. The transgender goat has paired with Astrid. He is overly concerned with the health of the field, so I think of him as a landscaper, always mowing the lawn then cuddling with his mafia hitman wife. We have chickens in the coop. Right now they are on disability due to post-traumatic stress disorder after the bear incident. The horse thinks he is funny. He has been trying for years to make it as a stand-up comedian, but his timing sucks and his humor is goofy and slow. Lastly, there is Tom. He was part of a yard gang of badasses, but they were picked off gradually and he is the last one remaining. His gang, the Guinea Hens, protected their yard from their rival gang, the New England Ticks. Unfortunately, the Hawks and Coyotes also have gangs, so they were all picked off except Tom, who has started squawking with a Scottish accent lately. He seems to think he is the Highlander now that he is the only one. He spends his time peeping through the back door window and the greenhouse windows, which is why we call him Tom, because he is a peeper. Story 154. Pub crawl host. Every time I walk her, she takes me to the door of every pub, eager to go in. She will gladly show you the pubs along any route you or she chooses, and she is always happy to go in and enjoy herself while you have a pint. Story 155. I have a gorgeous but somewhat mean cat. He would be a great fashion critic. He is definitely judging me. Story 156. If barking at ghosts and other invisible things that do not exist could be a job, my dachshund would be the world's leading doctor of philosophy in the field. Story 157. Our kittens are like mixed martial arts fighters, balls of fire with no fear. They attack anything that moves, seemingly powered by internal nuclear reactors. Story 158. I think my dog would be signed off from work for severe anxiety. On the other hand, she might work well in pest control. Story 159. He would have several roles: security guard, comedian, and television and movie critic. He is a dog, by the way. Story 160. Gigolo. He loves the ladies. 17 pounds of furry fury with a mohawk and spiked collar. Story 161. My Havanese is probably a hippie with a thing for feet. He has a man bun. I imagine my rat terrier as a meth addict because of his behavior, or as an investigator because of his intelligence and keen sense of smell. I do not know our newest dog very well yet. He is a black-mouthed cur mix and might be a professional cuddler or a therapist. He is pretty great. Story 162. I have a pregnant cane corso and a neutered borbal. The female would be good in security. She has a growl and a bark that would make you soil your underwear. The male would be a poor food critic. He is too old for anything else, so he focuses on food, but he will vomit in the carpeted corner every time. Story 163. A private detective who does not miss a thing. He finds every clue. Even when you have lifted the couch twice and are certain you see nothing, if he says something is there, it is always there. Story 164. Our cat Snickerdoodle has a job in pest control. He immediately and ruthlessly kills any bugs that enter our apartment. He would definitely be an exterminator. Our other cat, Halloween, mostly just sits and looks pretty, and I love her for it. So I am going to call her an Instagram model. Story 165. I would own a lizard for pest control. I would have a dog for home and pet protection. I would have a crane because cranes are believed to deliver babies, so one could pick up my small parcel or drop it off. Story 166. My cat would be a kitchen supervisor. Whenever someone cooks in the house, he has to be right there, sitting on the floor nearby and watching the whole time. Story 167. Dickhead. Day ruiner. Favorite thing chewer. Professional cutie patootie. It's really the only thing she's qualified for. Story 168. Assistant for breaking down boxes and shredding paper for recycling. Story 169. My cat would be an actress. The only role she would play is someone who has never been fed in her entire life. Story 170. My cat sits on my armrest with her paws on my thigh while I eat on a television tray. She constantly asks for what I am eating, so I give her a tiny piece of chicken, a bean, or let her lick the spoon after soup. Being a food taster would definitely be Nina's job, possibly in quality assurance at Purina. Story 171. My two cats would be helpers and supervisors because they excel at overseeing everything I do. Story 172. My dog would work in landscaping. He loves to kick grass and dirt. Story 173. My cat would definitely be a food critic. She does not eat half the things I give her, yet she will gladly steal bites of whatever I am eating and then look offended when it is not up to her standards. Story 174. Pest control is trying to end the spotted lanternfly invasion, one insect at a time. I wish one would stop eating them, though, since she has a sensitive stomach. I keep reminding them that squishing is okay, but do not swallow. Story 175. My German Shepherd dog would be a bodyguard for a preschool. My boxer would be a professional boxer. Story 176. My Australian Shepherd dog would be a wig maker because she has way too much hair. My Purador dog would be a crotch sniffer controller because that is what she does constantly. Story 177. My cat would be a really bad information technology support specialist. She sits on my laptop and activates the sticky keys and the text-to-speech feature. I'm in information technology too, and I have a little item that shows a black cat on top of a laptop. Says don't worry, I'm technical support. Story 178. My dog would work at the Department of Motor Vehicles because I have never seen a dog walk so slowly. Story 179. My dog's job would be cocaine. As a side note, don't get a husky. I love this weirdo, but never again. Story 180. My 11-year-old Belgian Malinois should be a politician. I would support her if she ran for president. My 2-year-old German Shepherd could probably obtain his forklift certification or a commercial driver's license. My 7-year-old tortoiseshell cat would be best suited as a hired gun for the mafia. My 3-month-old kitten would likely do well as a mechanic. Story 181. Imagine a librarian who becomes angry at the slightest noise. That is my dog. Story 182. A Jack Russell Terrier mix loves playing catch, so he would have replaced Crawford as the shortstop for the San Francisco Giants. Story 183. Professional bitch for one, and professional ball player for the other. Story 184. My cat's job would be an ornithological field researcher, also known as a bird watcher. A mattress factory quality assurance tester would also be acceptable. Story 185. My oldest would be a terrier that exterminates rodents. My middle would be a cattle dog that herds. My youngest would be a wolfhound that guards against wolves. Story 186. The dog would be a children's entertainer because she never stops smiling and is always happy. The eldest cat would be on a crime scene investigation show, the middle cat would work in a library, and the youngest cat would definitely have a podcast complaining about humans. Story 187. My personal assistant, my dog, always follows me wherever I go. Story 188. Supervillains and a hero. I have Nightwing, Deathstroke, and Professor Chaos. Grayson, Slade, and Butters. If you know, you know. Story 189. All of my pets felt they had the same job, to be my bed warmer and bodyguard. Whether cats or dogs, they kept my bed warm while I slept, followed me around the house, and met me at the bus stop when I returned from school or work. Story 190. He would be the official lead announcer for every dog that walks past the house outside the window. He is very good at it. He identifies every single one. I should probably give him a raise. Story 191. My younger dog would be a mascot at Disney, while my older dog would work the night shift at the Shell station. Story 192. My cat doesn't do much except wear his very dandy purple bow tie. Does that mean he'd be some kind of fashion influencer? Because I have repeatedly said if my cat brought home a paycheck, I'd stop dating and spend the rest of my life with him. If he's an influencer, I expect him to start contributing to household expenses. Story 193. My cat sometimes play fights with my sister's dog, mostly taking swipes while the dog dodges. My cat could be a personal trainer or a martial artist. It is hilarious because my cat is a small tabby and my sister's dog is a Great Pyrenees. Story 194. My cat Jasper would be a disgruntled, micromanaging middle manager 100%. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.